9-foot alien warrior called him slave and spit in his face. He crushed her in the arena. She towered over him like a mountain forged from war. 9 feet tall, draped in spiked obsidian armor, and adorned with ceremonial scars that marked her as a champion of the Zarnak's arena. Commander Sharavek looked down at the human male with disgust in her 4 amber eyes. "A slave?" she growled, her voice sharp as broken glass. "You think you're a warrior? You're food that learned to walk upright." She stepped closer, then spit directly into his face. The alien crowd roared with laughter, their booming howls echoing across the steel walls of the arena. Kael didn't flinch. He simply wiped his face with the back of his hand and smiled. Not a grin of mockery, one of certainty. Because Kael knew something Sharavek didn't. He had nothing to lose, and she had everything to prove. When Earth was conquered by the Zarnak's dominion, humans had been deemed physically inferior. Most were taken as laborers, slaves, or amusement. A few were forced into the arena for sport. Gladiators thrown against beasts or warriors for pleasure of the elite. Kael was one of those unlucky few. He'd survived 15 fights. Not because he was stronger, but because he was smarter, faster, ruthless when it counted. But this was different. Sharavek was a Zarnak's war legend, genetically engineered, battle-hardened, and furious that a dirt-blooded ape like Kael had lasted this long. This wasn't just a fight. This was a public execution. The horns blared. Weapons were chosen. Sharavek picked a 2-bladed glaive nearly as tall as Kael himself. Kael chose a staff. The crowd booed. A staff was the weapon of the weak, the desperate. But Kael wasn't desperate. He was calculating. The gate slammed shut. Kael circled her slowly, reading her movements. Sharavek didn't wait. She lunged forward, glaive spinning with terrifying speed. Her strikes were devastating. Each one aimed to cleave bone from flesh. But Kael didn't meet strength with strength. He dodged. He deflected. He baited. The first 10 seconds were survival. The next 10 were understanding. The next 10 were adaptation. Kael had studied Zarnak's muscle cadence, their reaction times, their arrogance. She swung, he ducked. She kicked, he rolled. She roared, he laughed. "Why are you smiling, worm?" she snarled, swinging low. He slid beneath her strike and jabbed her left knee with his staff, right into the joint. She stumbled. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Kael's eyes flashed. That was the moment he needed. A minute passed. Then 2. The crowd's laughter began to quiet. They were watching something unheard of. A human making a Zarnak's warrior bleed. Sharavek roared and charged again, fury overriding her tactics. Her glaive slashed wild arcs through the air, but she was slowing. Kael's staff cracked her wrist, then her shoulder, then a quick spin, and he swept her leg again. She dropped to one knee, teeth bared in fury. "Get up!" A Zarnak's noble scream from the stands. Kael didn't give her a chance. He darted behind her, hooked the staff behind her neck, and pulled with all his weight. She surged up in a panic, but too late. He leapt onto her back, wrapped the staff tighter, and locked his legs around her chest. Her eyes bulged. The crowd stood in disbelief. She thrashed, staggered, slammed against the wall, trying to dislodge him. But Kael held firm. The human, the slave, crushing her with leverage, speed, and merciless precision. Then came the moment no one could have predicted. Sharavek collapsed onto her knees. Her glaive clattered away. Her massive arms trembled, and then she tapped the ground. Once, twice, 3 times. Surrender. Silence fell. Then chaos. The arena master stumbled forward, stunned. She submitted. Kael dropped from her back and stepped away, chest heaving. The crowd didn't cheer. Not yet. They didn't know what to make of it. Kael looked down at the once mighty warrior, now gasping on her hands and knees. "You spat in my face," he said. "Next time, maybe swallow your pride first." He turned to the crowd and raised his staff. Now they roared, back in the underchambers. Kael sat alone in the dark, blood still drying on his knuckles. His breath had steadied, but his heart still thudded with aftershock. The door creaked open. Sheriff Vec entered. No armor, no guards, just bruises and a silent gaze. Kael stood. They stared at each other for a long moment. "I was wrong," she said at last. "You're not a slave." Kael nodded once. "You fight like a Zarnax," she added quietly. "But better, smarter." Kael raised an eyebrow. "Is that a compliment?" "It's an invitation," she said, stepping forward, "to teach our best, to reshape what strength means." Kael crossed his arms. "Why would I help the ones who cage me?" "Because they respect what they fear," she replied. "And now they fear you." Later, word of the fight spread beyond the arena. Some say Kael became a commander. Some say he trained a new generation of hybrids, humans and Zarnax fighting side by side. And some say that on the day Sheriff Vec took a mate, it wasn't one of her own kind. It was the one who had crushed her in the arena and shown her that true power was never in height, nor muscle, nor bloodline, but in the will to rise when others expect you to fall.